So welcome everybody. It's round 10 of WPL and let's go ahead and get it started. Just take a minute to check in, see where you are tonight. You can drop it in the chat. It's late for me, so you'll forgive my brain. Everybody's sleepy. Tim's feeling silly. Awesome. So just use this as a way to think about how you're showing up tonight. We've all been doing a great job, so I appreciate it. Couple of shout outs tonight. Andrew Stockton, he's one of our missing people. He is currently at a meeting at Rugby Town, so he'll be refereeing this weekend. So great for him. That's exciting. Amelia, Tim gave you a shout out for being the example for good positioning in the GMG presentation. If anybody who watched that last night got to watch a couple minutes of Amelia moving. Jenny, Olivia gave you a shout out for accountability and using your goals for check-ins during the match. So that's awesome. You can tell us more about that when we do your review maybe. And then I just wanted to say thank you to all of our referee coaches. I don't know if you're aware of it, but there is a shortage of referee coaches across the United States and people are not getting the coaching that they need. So I just wanted to take a second to tell everybody that I really appreciate you all showing up every week and spending your time with this group of refs. That's pretty special. So thank you. Results on the weekend. We had two big score lines there, 62-18 and 69-0. And then the New York Beantown game, which was close and a bit of an upset, I think, too, with the 19-17 to New York. So that brings a little bit more excitement to the standings. And here's what it looks like right now. We got Berkeley with 38 points, Beantown and New York tied there with 31, and Grey Wolves sitting pretty closely at 29. So really anything can probably happen still.
Amanda, when we get to the playoffs, is it just going to be the top four?
Yes. So the top four will play semifinals. Number one is going to play number 4 at home for number 1, and 2 will play 3 at 2's home. There's probably a better, more clear way to state that, but everybody kind of get it. Cool. All right, let's run through the reviews. Advantage. Who cares to go first? Amelia, I've got you up. Are you on yet?
I'm here.
Awesome. You want to go?
Sure.
Yay.
So I went down to New York to do New York versus Beantown. Some things I was anticipating before the match is that the breakdowns would be contested, and boy, were they contested. It probably didn't help that I tried to let it play out a bit instead of calling a quick penalty. But we had a bunch of really great turnovers, which is partially why the scoreline is low. But it was a really close game. I think we had about 20 minutes where it was 19-17 at the end. So pretty much anyone's game to win at that point. Overall, I would have done things differently, I think, if I were to do it again. So some more tackle penalties, probably trying to get the first infringement earlier. Roz and I spoke a bit about the scrum and how we didn't really have any issues with ball out, but we did have some instability at the scrum that could have been dealt with by me trying to manage the players, possibly. Normally, I do try to manage the players as I go throughout the game, but this time I kind of decided not to, and we ended up not really having a problem with getting the ball out, which Roz and I aren't sure if that's luck or if that's kind of the way that I managed it, I guess. And then for foul play, I wanted to get things early. Again, we've still been having some upright tackles. I did yellow card around the neck tackle, but from the video, it looks very soft. And then there was another incident of foul play where I just gave a penalty that I think maybe could have been more, and we'll look at that clip a little bit later. Roz, do you have anything to add?
Nope, that's good. I'll add at the end if I think you're missing something. Oh, actually, I do want to say one thing now. One thing that I really loved about Amelia's game is the way she really let them play out. We talked a little bit about how sometimes people overmanage physical play, and she did not do that. And it was really fun to watch.
And I would also like to say this was a really fun game to referee. The players just wanted to play rugby and they played hard throughout trying to win and not making my calls or the refereeing any object of it. They just tried their best to get possession of the ball and do what they could do, which made it super fun.
I'll add my 2 cents as well, because I really enjoyed the breakdowns in this game. You definitely let it play and let the players decide the outcome. I liked it. So
I'm glad you liked it. I felt like I didn't do enough to manage it, but like in terms of early penalties to try and get a clearer picture. But I did hear that people enjoyed the contest. Okay, we can start. Maybe we can do the I thought there should be 3 line out ones, but I only see 2 there.
is it showing up now or not? I'm just seeing line out obstruction.
Obstruction. I don't know. I don't know where the other one went. It's fine. It's not really a big deal. So we can just do the 2
Otherwise,
there.
we can go out. We can go to your game if you know what time it's at.
I'm not sure that I know, but that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, we can start with this one. Okay, so this is less than 10 minutes into the match. It's Beantown's line out, so they're going to catch it off the top, and then we'll see them bring the ball down and set up a maul. So the thing that I observed throughout the match was that 5 is creating an obstruction, and she's the tallest player that you can see there. So my question to the group is, do we want to penalty kick this? Do we want to play on? Or is there something else that we can do in terms of management? And I'd just like to hear people's opinions.
You weren't mic'd, were you?
No.
Okay.
So it's the backlifter there. Thoughts?
Let's hear from some refs. What do we think?
I don't think there's much competition there, but if someone ran into the back of number 5, then it would definitely be obstruction.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think she affected how White 6 joined the mall initially.
That's where I am too, Peter. Amelia, what do you think?
For me, it didn't allow Beantown to have a ton of go forward. Yes, they got a stable platform, but they didn't really go anywhere with it. So I was okay to play through it.
Do you have a word with her afterwards?
I did mention it to her at one point, but she continued to do it throughout the match. The reason why I didn't penalize was because I still thought there was access to the jumper by New York, despite 5 being in the way. Maybe, like Peter said, not in the perfect position, but they could still get to her. And the Beantown Mall, which normally is very good, had much less go forward in this game than it normally does. The next one is the steal at the mall. So we'll see the player with the scrum cap from New York end up getting to steal the ball. And the question is this a play on for you or a penalty? and why? So it's right now.
Is it super choppy?
It's not really choppy for me, but I have good internet right now.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm seeing it pretty well.
Okay, I forgot to optimize. That's why I'm asking. So if it does get choppy, I can go out and optimize it for screen sharing, but if it's okay, we'll leave it. All right, so we're looking at this front.
Yep, with the knee brace there.
Yep, the front jumper. We're gonna watch her come in. So watch her entry point. So if we're happy with that, now we'll watch in slow motion to see if she slips bind.
Yep.
Can't see what her right arm does,
Mm-mm.
but her left arm definitely slips.
But she slips to make a play on the ball. I mean, she's going for the tackle for the ball carrier.
Yeah, but that's an
Yeah.
illegal play if she slips.
But if she's
Yeah.
bound in, it's fine.
Yeah, but is she bound in? That's the question.
Yeah, that is the question, and that's where you have to decide where you land. So let's waterfall. Yeah, we've seen it 3 times now. Millie only got to see it once. So on the count of 3, let's waterfall. You're either at PO for play on, or you're gonna PK. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, pretty interesting. So Amelia, if you had to do it again, you're penalizing her.
No, I'm playing on.
Oh, you're playing on? I thought you were the
Yes.
PK.
No, that was Peter and Miles.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I end up at play on as well. I think she's bound in, held by the nature of all the people around her. Miles, tell us why you get to PK.
I just think she swims around the side of the mall and grabs the ball. I mean, yeah, if you kind of, I realize this particular mall is a bit of a mess. It's going sideways and there's players, and then become stationary, but there's no way you can you find yourself on the other side of the mall like that without, unbinding and going, going for the ball.
My problem with this is that she doesn't unbind. It's the player that's kind of in front of her who unbinds that then gives her the room to make the play on the ball. So you see that number 1 like kind of backs out, and that allows the player with the scrum cap to get in there.
Yeah, that's fair.
So she doesn't, or they don't really unbind in my eyes. But I could see why this could be a penalty, or why someone might choose to make this a penalty.
Yeah, I think it's not clear and obvious to everyone. It's not a clear swim, and I think everyone is bound around her closely enough that we can.
I think from where Amelia was standing, there's no way she can know if that's a penalty or not, and so play on is probably the right choice.
I
Right.
had no idea. I just saw the ball come out the other side, and I was like, good
Yeah.
for her.
Mm-hmm. No, that's what I say. With the information that you had at the time, fine with that.
Hey, this is the controversial one.
Okay, so for this one, you can see that white post above the player's head there. That's the goal line. So that's the front flag of the goal line. And then the back flag you'll see after she kicks it. So this player is going to receive the ball, kick, and then they try to score a try. And I guess I just wanted to talk through the process of this because I think it's kind of a cool clip, and we can discuss whether or not we think this hit is whatever, play on or penalty kick and above.
What happened down there on the goal line?
The ball went out the back before it was touched down.
So it was not a
It was not a
touch.
try.
Cool.
Despite what they think.
I'm impressed that you saw the hit.
Yeah. I
I'm
didn't
gonna go.
fully.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, Mike, go ahead.
I'm gonna go devil's advocate. I don't think that it's a foul play. I think that she's going for the charge down and she hits her. I think the timing is pretty close. Yeah, I'll
Not
say
anywhere
that.
close to the ball. She's going straight for the body.
I think she did attempt the charge down, but it's probably not good enough.
Yeah, I watched this live, and this is the first time I'm seeing the replay. It looked a lot later in this clip. It's actually a lot closer than I thought, and you can't see if there's head contact or not. It's only I spoke to the number 10 after she came off. She said, "Yeah, her head hit mine," but I don't think you can see that from this video.
Okay.
Not clearly, anyway.
Yeah, I think you can see that the first point of contact here is with the arms, and then you see the heads clash. But you're watching it through my screen too, so it's probably not quite as clear. Also, my other version of this video may be more clear than this one. So you
Any
got
help from the ARs?
No, the ARs didn't see anything. But luckily I had that one AR that was at the back, so I confirmed that the ball had gone out the back of the in goal before, beyond the dead ball line, before I went back for the penalty to make sure the try hadn't been scored.
Okay, so let's hear people work through the process.
If we're saying foul play, then they have option of penalty where she kicked it from or where it landed, but it'll be 15 meters in from the touchline.
And 5 meters from the goal line.
Right.
but Mike's playing on.
Okay, fine. I'm sticking with it.
I'm just teasing you. I actually had to phone a friend because I'm so poorly calibrated on late hits. I was like, this might be a late hit. Can you help me? Yes, Amanda, it's late. Okay, thank you.
Any other thoughts besides play on? Would people do penalty, yellow card?
It's at the minimum has to be a penalty.
Yeah, I think what you see is penalty, and what video shows is yellow.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
could get a penalty or yellow, depending on. Sorry,
Yep.
Amelia, go ahead.
I'm definitely at yellow from the video and from what I saw, which wasn't focused on it. It was more of my peripheral vision. It was a penalty.
Yeah, I'm super impressed you even got it, that you weren't tracking the ball after it was kicked. And that's what I told the coach, is that the ARs usually would have a late hit, but in this instance, we didn't have ARs to really help you. So yeah, penalty kick is a good answer if you say head contact, low force. And otherwise you get to a yellow card.
Yeah, I didn't see a head contact, so I just said it was a late hit, which to me is a penalty.
Cool.
Okay, and then the last thing, Miles and I actually talked about this at the match. He came to watch, which was nice. So thanks for coming, Miles. But throughout the match, especially when New York had a line break, they would try to seal, and that was often more than one player who was sealing. I spoke to Miles about it at the match, and I thought if they had like a 3-on-1, then there's not a point in calling it. But in this example, for example, you can see that the number 14 who comes off her feet to support in a ruck is just sealing, and there's no way that Beantown can do anything about it. So this is just kind of something for whoever has New York next to look out for and try to keep them on their feet throughout the match.
Is this a
Yeah, Amelia, I
this
think
is
it's
Tim, is this a clip from the very start? Like this is the picture snapshot from the start of the presentation?
What presentation?
7
Oh.
minutes in the game.
Of
Oh, yeah.
Amanda's. Yeah, because I when I saw that picture, I thought they were sealing, and then now it's confirmed.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to look at one clip like that and make a determination. Obviously, they're sealing there, but there's no Beantown aren't competing. My argument was I thought that because of that was happening, often that Beantown said forget it, and that was kind of my argument. But you'd need to see the match for context.
Yeah, Miles, I think upon watching the video, it looked like Beantown still tried to contest a lot of the time when there was sealing. And then I was seeing that as them like going after the ball late instead of, oh, there's no contest and I should penalize New York.
Gotcha.
But Roz and I talked about it. My process was a little bit off. I don't know if it was from like traveling through traffic again on the way down, which I won't do next time because I'm going to stay at my parents' house the night before. Or if it was, just something with my processing just being a little bit slower than normal. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that, Amelia. Rosalind, anything else from you?
No, just a couple of things for the next. We were gonna look at scrum clips. No, not doing that. Amelia.
No, we didn't put any in. I didn't really think they were material, but I can just give a message, which is that the Beantown loose head was lining up a little bit angled. She didn't get any advantage from it, but it's something that I could have managed earlier because it's possible that if she had chosen to drive in hard, it could have caused collapses or them to be dominant illegally.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to add one more thing in terms of the lineouts, just reminding people that, if they're doing these piddly little things, if you address it and make that, show of it, that you've told them what to do, then if you do have to free kick them, you don't look overly technical. But, I agree with a lot of Amelia's play-ons, but then you do want to set yourself up for success if you do have to free kick something.
Are you talking about 5?
I'm sorry? Yes, something like that.
That's a penalty. It's not a free kick.
Well, we talked about some other things. We talked about like an extra receiver, different things. I'm not talking about that specific
Oh
thing.
yeah, those are free kicks.
I'm talking about in general, if there are technical things in a line out, just address them, have a word, and then that way when whatever it comes, a free kick or a penalty comes, then they know it's coming. So you don't look like you just pulled it out of somewhere.
Super. Thank you.
Which Amelia did not do, but just say.
Jenny, do you want to go next?
Yep, sure. This was a match in Chicago. It was a beautiful day. They actually cut the grass, so the field was normal. Unfortunate score in a lot of different ways. My focus going in was making sure that there was legal dominance and that the team that was dominant in all the areas was doing it legally. Working on positioning the first match of part 2, and I think that's what Olivia was talking about. Maybe we didn't get to talk because she had a pack of wild children at her house today, and it was chaotic. But I think what she was referring to was that one of my goals was positioning, and then throughout the match, I identified some cleanups and positioning. For example, I was turning a little bit too early, so just like staying home. Because in this match it wasn't material, but in a different match, folks could take advantage and abuse the offside line. So things like that. But yeah, North Shore gave it a good fight. They held strong, played some really tenacious defense for about 50 minutes, and then the floodgates sort of opened.
Cool.
Hey, Jenny, it's Tim. It's good to see a game that has a low penalty count and like a high score, because typically you see like a high score and then a huge penalty count, and it's kind of makes you feel, but it looks like it was good rugby, and unfortunately Chicago couldn't do much, but at least you weren't penalizing them, and that was the reason why. So
Did you need that many scrums?
Thanks, Tim. And I'm not sure, Peter. I think Olivia's having a tornado situation, so
Okay.
she might be not available at the moment.
Okay. Forgiven. This one? Obstruction?
Yep. Is it obstruction, no obstruction, or obstruction-y, which looks like obstruction, but isn't actually obstruction. You can just play it through and we can talk about it.
Slow motion. Zoomy. All right. Anybody see a problem?
Can we put this in the chat?
Sure. Would you like to waterfall 1, 2, 3? Or what do you want to do? Play on or obstruction on the count of 3? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I'm an obstruction-y also. I'm not sure where that is in the law book, but
It's
But that
not a
means we're playing.
penalty. Not a penalty.
it's not a penalty, right?
Yeah. So what I saw on the day was that green player was ahead and had clear access to the ball carrier, and then they just let up. But they could have accelerated into the tackle, and then red accelerated, and there's happened to be another red player, someone in the area, but they were just kind of standing there. And that's what I went with.
Yep. I don't think anybody was prevented from making a tackle.
I feel like obstruction-y, it's in my head, and then if the players put their hands up and start screaming, then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to give it to you. But then it didn't seem like no one reacted, so you're just like, all right, let's keep playing here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's for me. Obstruction-y is like if players are putting their hands up and screaming at you, then you blow it, and if not, you kind of just let it play.
This one is about approach angle, and the question is, could a different approach angle allow me to see something different? And maybe that's one of the things that Olivia was talking about with tying something back identified to a goal pre-match.
Okay.
No, red-headed.
Oh, we already missed the good thing there.
And then what happens after this? So I was focused on red 9, who is the jackler. And then that player wins it. And then a green player on the floor tries to wrestle it out of their hands while they're on the floor. So then I'm forced to blow the ball carrier not release, but I would have played through that because red had it. But the thing that I miss is red 12 approaching from the wrong direction and just like completely taking out green. I saw green go flying and I said, oh, that's weird, which really should have triggered me to be like, well, what happened? But because I'm so flat, I didn't see that happen. And this AR is very new, so also did not pick that up.
Yeah, it feels like green kind of missed it. Like she didn't hit the rock properly. She's trying to adjust, and then she gets completely taken out from a side entry of the defense. Like right there, layout right there.
Side entry is generous word for that.
Yeah.
Side
Backwards
killing.
entry.
Yeah, so Olivia's point was, if you're deeper and wider, you might be able to see something different, and you might be able to pick that up.
Hey, I'm back. Power
Oh!
came back on.
Hi,
Look at
Olivia.
that. We're not supposed to get hurricanes in California. We're not supposed to have wildfires in Hawaii, and we're not supposed to have tornadoes in Michigan. So, yeah. So one of the points I made to Ginny, I was like, in the notes, I was like, whenever something like this happens, let's not say like, oh, you missed it. Let's say, why didn't I see something? And that was really the point of this.
Yeah, you got all the way to flat with the piece before you stopped running.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I was
also
trying to take that positive line to anticipate the line break and get there at the same time, but then I misjudged the tackle.
I was going to say, you're also going cross field. So it's like, you know, if they break and you go that more J line, you're stuck behind everybody. But if you're flat, then you're flat for that tackle. Because it'd be really hard to go from, you know, it looks like it was a line out or something. So you're going all the way across the field, and it's hard to get in good position when you're going 50 meters following a ball.
Yeah, you're not far outside of what I would expect for the running line. But we just think it's a little too flat. Is that what people are saying?
Yeah.
More of a J on entry.
Yeah, maybe shifting once I realize the tackle is happening, maybe just shifting a little bit so it's not as flat could be another solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you possibly draw what you mean by it entering on a J? I don't know what that means.
So let's go to where we have the thing. Go back a second. I don't use the draw thing very often. Let's see. I think I have it. So Jenny enters like that, kind of straight. And I guess if she'd have Jade, she would have come more like that and been at the 45-ish, maybe more like that.
Yeah, I would have drawn the J the other way. Come in
Can
on the
you draw it?
Chicago. Come in on the Chicago side rather than on the Colorado side. Yeah.
They had the ball.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a breakaway. So
Yes, makes more sense that way. Thank you.
Okay, that makes sense. So run up and then sort of curve in.
Amelia, I think of it like as a scrum half. Like I would try to run a J line where you kind of get to the ruck, and then you kind of are able to, instead of approaching at a 45, you're trying to get there and then get there with your hips kind of north-south.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, that makes sense. I was more like the scrum half that poached the ball when I played scrum half, so.
And then the last one is neck roll. And this was in the pre-match notes. Please be mindful of not grabbing people around the head. And we said it again in the pregame. And this was unobserved by me at the time. And there was no call in, but I still feel bad for missing this.
I think, yeah, it's not surprising.
Yep. Cover looks fine, but long the pickup.
So to me, it looked like Green was just clearing a little bit beyond, but that's not actually what happens here. Well, it's partially what happened, and also red 14 is holding that player in a headlock.
Yeah, red 14 pulls her through by the head. And you're looking at the back of the ruck.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna see it.
Yeah, and if she's really pissed off, she has the opportunity to punch her.
And it's an interesting situation. I've talked to a bunch of referees about this and managers.
Hard to see.
And there's no clear answer in law at the moment. Except you can go with collapsing the ruck if you see it. But the problem is the danger to the person pulled through's head. Because they're getting basically pulled through on the bean. But they're not
concerning that their head hits the ground. That's scary.
Yes, that's sorry, that's what I was trying to articulate and not doing well. We had another one like this earlier in the season, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Colorado.
Yes, it was. And when I did Colorado versus Beantown, I also missed one again, red 13. So they've been doing it, and so far, no, it's really hard to see, and I don't think they've gotten caught yet.
Yeah, it's really hard to see. It doesn't fall under neck roll, but it's
That's right. You did right at the beginning of the game. Yeah, Mike just put in the comment that he had a exact similar thing that he did penalize.
Did he?
Yeah, right. One of the first penalties of the game.
Last two weeks ago or last week?
Last week.
Interesting. I feel like we should go look at
Amanda, just to clarify, we're talking about the official call for any of that can be collapsing the ruck, though, without a doubt. Like regardless of the outcome of the player, whether their head hits or if it's a neck roll version of that, if the defender is pulling the attacking support player in that ruck through or breaking that down, that's collapsing it. Okay.
You cannot pull people through the ruck. Yeah, so that's going to be a penalty. But then where we are, where we struggle is the law doesn't really cover the head contact piece of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we actually interestingly had that and a pretty egregious obstruction on a kick as well. So I just could not get on the call last week and couldn't mark that. Sorry.
No problem. You can always call me and we can talk about it. I don't know if we picked those up. I can't remember last week. Okay, so Jenny, we're good with you now?
Yep, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Dan?
Hey.
Did you make it? Yeah. Hello.
All right. Life West came to the Twin Cities. It was a beautiful day for rugby. It was a little hot, so we did use water breaks. It was, Life West and Amazons had very different styles of play. It felt like they were able to do that. So Life West felt like they were trying to get it out to their backs a lot, and the Amazons were playing kind of that slow, steady, secure the ball and recycle it. We had a lot of scrums, and a lot of scrums for the Amazons. So yeah, like 20 for the Amazons and 7 for Life West. Scrums continue to be a work on for me. So I think there's at least 1 or 2 of those penalties that coaches have suggested should go the other way. So I'll continue to review and work on those going forward. I'm trying to think what else to highlight on the overview part. Goals that I had for the game were like, don't mess up my hamstring, which was successful. Set pieces, so scrums, which was not as successful. And then a third goal that is escaping me at this exact moment, but probably in the realm of game context and communication. So felt like we were doing a decent job about pattern and trend recognition throughout, with one noteworthy exception. And then over communicated throughout the entire match, without a doubt.
Okay.
Miles, is there context you want to add or anything?
No, you covered it. That's really good. I just think that with regard to scrums, it's one of those things as a referee, we all hate it the first scrum, and one team is just like significantly more dominant than the other. And it's a tough day at the office when that happens. So, trying to, make sure they're winning the scrum legally, it's tough. So just throwing that out there, Dan, like it's not easy when you got one of those.
Cool.
All right, so we're gonna watch our old friend here come up again. Did you want to give some context, or should we just watch it?
I think we can watch and waterfall if you're up for it.
Anybody need to see it again? Slow motion for you. Okay, so on the count of 3, let's waterfall and put in the chat if you're gonna play on because she's milking, or you're gonna PK White for being offside. Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is one that's going to be really fascinating. Was it forward, Mike?
I don't know, but I don't like rewarding these things, so I'll find something.
I have to watch it again now just to see.
It's forward enough.
It surely is forward.
Got him.
Yeah. Actually, this is Jenny. Isn't this now a PK against the scrum half? Wasn't that a law change?
It may be, but I surely have never seen it applied. Peter?
No, that the PK is for making a referee think that foul play has occurred.
Okay.
This is not foul play. But it is intentionally offending.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the most egregious example of this I've ever seen. And usually
Amanda,
go ahead, Miles.
is there a third option here for a scrum to blue? That's the only other question I had. Just to restart play, basically. Because I mean that white player's got up. She's kind of in the way, but clearly milked. And it's gone for the ball's gone forward. Can we give a scrum?
Scrum to white.
He wants to scrum to blue as a
reason. Go forward ball.
I think it would be.
Can you play it again, Amanda?
That would be an unconventional decision. Yes, I can play it again. The problem I have is that blue had a lot of choices, and white ducks and blue then tosses it into her when she could have easily gone over her. World Rugby does not want milking. They want us to play on through that all day long. And my stance generally is that that player was offside, and so we should call the offside. And this is one time I don't think I'd have given it to them, but Dan did on the day.
Yeah, but she also made a conscious decision to cut across the active part of the ruck rather
True.
than cutting around. She could have gone.
Well, she
Yeah,
could have just stayed where
white
she
two
was.
could have gone the other white two could have gone to the left instead of the right of this ruck. and
Exactly. Thank you, Hannah.
Kept play going fast. So
She
I
could
don't
have
think
just
this is the
stayed.
most egregious I've seen, but yeah, she also could have just stayed. But she makes an attempt to get out of the way, but it's still she's already off.
Yeah, technically she's offside. That's a penalty, but milking. Come on.
It is milking, but can we say the delay has already happened, right? She made that cut. She made a conscious decision to block the throw, right? Yes, there's milking, but can the call kind of be you blow it, penalty kick, you're offside, and then you go to the scrum, hey, we're not going to have milking today, right? So we get the infraction, or we get the disruption of play, which this is a tough one, right? Something needs. I don't agree with the scrum. I agree with you, Amanda, that we can't do that. But I think we go to what's the biggest thing that's happening here? Well, it really is that person disrupting that play. Yeah, could she have played on? Yeah, but honestly, she elected to make that cross. That's the more egregious thing. As soon as she made that cross, boom, there's the penalty. Yep. Then you see the milk, right? Maybe the whistle could have been quicker. This is hindsight, but in my mind, I would have liked to see the penalty kick and then a harsh little warning to the scrum half. We're not going to see this today.
Yep, and that's the way we've agreed to do it since the beginning of the season, and that's what we should probably stick with. So,
in my pre-match this past week, I actually told the nines, if you milk something, I'm not going to give it to you. And they were very well behaved and not milking anything all game. So maybe that's something that we can also possibly think about including.
Thank you. How are we on time? 9:48. Okay. Dan, go through that last bit. Dan.
Yeah, sorry. So quick context, the penalty count is 3-0 against Life West. 2 offsides, 1 tackler not releasing or not rolling. And we're about 8.5 minutes into the match. I think this is about a 30-40 second clip. So it's about game context and pattern recognition.
Hands away. Thank you. It's got to be faster.
So we have an infraction at about 9 minutes. Amazons go quick, run the ball 40, 50 meters up, and then we have blue tackler not rolling out of the way. Wanted to play through, but there was a blue defensive player that came in for a poach. So if that's the case, we've had 5 penalties against blue in the first 10 minutes, one of them within 5 meters of try. Is that yellow card worthy? And at the time, I did not think so. In hindsight, I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty clear pattern.
Awesome. Thank you.
Did you do anything after that tackler, or did you talk to them after the tackler not rolling penalty?
Yeah, they opted to kick it goal And after that, I had a chat with the blue captain. If I could do it again, I'd say it differently. But I was like, look, we need to work on offsides, because that one was, we like managed out of at least 2 penalties early on, then had 2 offsides penalties. Then we had somebody coming up kind of like offside and side entry. So I said that, and then I also acknowledged like the penalty count is extremely lopsided. The Amazons had like most, if not all, of ball possession for the first 10 minutes.
You said all of that when you were speaking with the captain?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember one of the first things I said where like I grossly over communicated the
I mean,
entire
I think
match.
right there is, captain, I need better behavior when you guys are under pressure,
Well said.
and this was a whole movement by White, so they're under pressure the whole time. And then it, culminated 5 meters out, and that's as close to, as much pressure as you can be under. Then that's their warning.
Yeah.
One thing I was wondering here, this first penalty. I was actually, when I watched the game, was expecting a card here, even though we're in the middle of the pitch, because there were 2 offsides immediately preceding this within like 4-minute span. Then they end up taking it super quickly, so I think it's understandable not to have carded there. But no one else has really watched the game. Miles did though. Did you have any thoughts about that?
I did. So we actually talked about that, and I said,
Okay.
I said, what were you thinking about? And Dan he had the right thought process, which in my opinion was actually, hit the nail on the head really. So he said, okay, we had these 2 penalties. My next thought was to admonish. This would have been an admonishment, and then I would have gone up to a card. So I'm like, okay, he's thinking about it. He didn't do it here. They quick tapped, but he was thinking about it. It could have been a card, but I was okay with his thought process.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of where I landed too. Awesome. Thanks. Anything else on this one? I think this is really the big piece, like as referees and as where we are as a group, and what separates us from sort of that next level of ref is this trend recognition and dealing with it in a timely manner. So this is where we really want to focus a lot of our review energy, I think. And go ahead, Dan.
One thing that's related is that when we had the water breaks, we used that to talk with ARs and verbalize about, are we noticing any patterns? So that felt like a good use of time. Segue into Amanda, wondering if you can give us any context or guidance about like coaches on or off the field. Had some coaches come on, and then like one of the team was like, oh, that's not a trainer, that's a coach. And then someone else was like, that's actually a coach and a referee and not a trainer, and they shouldn't be coaching on the field. And I did a poor job of navigating like when to engage with coaches and for how long versus just putting it. I think Miles' counsel was essentially like, look, put it on the captain, say like, hey, your coach can't be on the field, please fix it. Instead of trying to engage and interact.
Yes.
Any thoughts?
I think this is not the first time this has come up. I think another coach had reported to me that Life West was putting coaches on the pitch when they are not supposed to. I did have my thing pulled up. Yeah. So the league agreement, which everybody has signed, says that the home teams are required to enforce the technical zones. So you have a number 4 in the middle of the field who should be able to tell you who is who as far as the coaches, the water carriers, right? and the trainers. Like, you shouldn't be trying to sort out, is this person a coach or is this person a water carrier? So if the number 4 does tell you, yes, that is a coach, and yes, they are coaching and they shouldn't be out of the box, then you do need to handle that. Nobody should really be coming up and talking to you at any point during the match. Hannah, yes?
I was just going to say, I think sometimes recognizing the home and away situation when it comes to an injury is sort of the only thing I would bring in on this. Like, as a, you know, for instance, we're at Colorado, I might know Valenta really well, but she's the opposing trainer. So if one of my players is down, I might come onto the field to check on that. But I know, for instance, like when we had water breaks and any sort of injuries, when we were at New York, for instance, like Tip is on the field all the time for that. And I don't know if that was just a single game or if that's a consistent thing, but I think it would be good just for us all as coaches to have a reminder of what that looks like. Maybe like you all come up with the consistencies that you want from us, and we can all make sure that we're holding ourselves to it, because I think we probably just need a reminder of
Right.
all of that.
I talked to Allie briefly today about it all, so I'll try to put something out in the email. Ultimately, we as referees do not want to have to police this, and coaches should really be policing themselves.
Yeah, and I think this was one of the big reasons we talked about having a real number 4 next year. I
Right.
mean, there's like lots of movement, right? But like, what we need real consistent ARs and number 4s, because I think that's ideally who polices it, right? If it needs policing.
Right.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep,
Appreciate
absolutely.
you guys.
Rosalind, did you have anything to add to that?
Well, a little bit, yeah. So we had talked to you and I had talked today about it, and I maybe referees, if you feel this is going to be an issue, do you want to check in with your number 4? How is it when you get to the field? Do you know who the number 4 is? No?
This is Marty. I think I had a lot more pregame chat with the number 4 last year with all of the COVID testing. This year I don't have as much. Just my teams.
Okay, because I mean, I agree with Amanda. This is not something that referees should be policing. You don't want to be in that position. But if you go up and check in with the number 4 ahead of time and remind them, because their job is supposed to be checking who the coaches are and all, just remind them that they're supposed to know what that is. And then you can tell them, they can let you know if a coach is on the field when they're not supposed to be. Because isn't it no coaches on the field, Amanda?
Yes, the coaches should not be on the field, but obviously if there's an injury, we're not going to
that's
insert ourselves there, probably.
That's an empathy
Yeah.
but yeah, if you just let them know to let you know, then there is a process for that. Did you want to go over that process, Amanda?
Yep. So what the match commissioner and I discussed today is that if we have a coach who is in violation, is coming on the field and coaching, maybe they're bringing water or they're bringing the tea on and coaching at that time, that you would just tell that coach that they are a coach and they need to stay in the technical zone, and that is part of the league agreement. And if they come onto the pitch again when they're not supposed to, that you're going to ask them to leave the playing enclosure. So if they come on the pitch the second time, you're going to blow the whistle, ask them to leave the playing enclosure. And if they do not, you're not going to restart the game, and their team will forfeit that match. And the match commissioner said she's perfectly happy backing us up there. I don't think it would ever get to that point, but that is a path you could follow if you felt you needed to.
Just for context, in Dan's game, it wasn't so much the coach was on the field, but the coach was actively engaging him, which is obviously not on. So it kind of raised to another level there.
Like trying to have a discussion with Dan during the match?
At the water break, 20-minute water break.
What did he want to chat about?
I can't remember what it was, Dan. I clipped it in advantage, but he's debating something, some call or something like that, which is, I was like,
Okay.
whoa. Yeah.
I will be putting out a little reminder about all of those things to the coaching staff tomorrow. So I'll try to hit that too. Don't just think you can engage the referee at the water break.
Or halftime.
Right. Yeah. Any other comments about that? Everybody kind of on the same page? Okay, hopefully we don't have to talk about it again this season. I know I am cognizant of the time, so just going to really quickly. I was happy we were much more patient with the contest at the breakdown this week. To me, that makes the game more watchable and the overall product more exciting. I also thought we had plenty of space to play for the teams, which was very nice. Room for improvement, communication. We had 2 refs who were mic'd up, and it's clear that's a spot where, you know, we can get better with what we say and how we say it. Miscellaneous stuff. Make sure we register in Rugby X. This is your last week before you are not covered by the insurance. We do need to finish booking travel for the season. I think there's 1 more flight and maybe 2 hotels that need to be booked. And then coaches on the pitch during matches we just discussed. So that's it. Round 11 coming up. We've got 14 total weeks of games. So we have 11, 12, 13. We got 4 more weeks to go. After this week, we'll have a break. But Ginny flies all the way across the country to do All Blues North Shore. Marty's going over to Boston, and we'll see the Zons there. And then Tim Lou has a game that's probably going to be contentious, Life West versus Colorado. So good luck to everyone in the upcoming weeks. If anybody has anything else they want to say before I stop recording.